Today we're talking about debt. D-E-B-T, debt. It's been said that you can wander into debt, but you can't wander out of debt. In other words, it's a whole lot easier to get into than it is to get out of, but you can get out of it. So the Bible teaches us that if we're in debt, we need to pay it back. It's clear on that. As disciples of Jesus, we can't drop it and walk away from it. We need to pay it. Romans 13 verse 7 says, "Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes, your government fees to those who collect them, and respect and honour those who have authority." So we need to give it back if we're in debt. So that's number one strategy. We've got to pay it back. But I say today, it's not a sin to carry debt. I've heard it said that it is a sin to carry debt. It's not a sin to carry debt, but depending on what type of debt it is, it could be good for you or not good for you. And so wise stewardship would say there's two kinds of debts. We have good debt, or can I call that strategic debt? And we have bad debt, which is actually going to hold you back. Strategic debt would be debt that is intentional. It would be debt that is measured, and it would be debt that is attached to an appreciating, which means a growing in value asset. It could be a house, it could be a property, it could be a business or something like that. Debt that's attached to something that's actually going to help you move forward in your financial situation. We'd call that strategic debt, and I'll explain why. It would be because if there's a rainy day, if something happens, we should be able to sell that debt, sell that asset, settle the debt, and on a good day, still have something left over. On a bad day, not be left owing anything. Strategically, it's helping us go forward. It's attached to something that we can turn into money or resource in order to pay the debt that we had on it. I hope that makes sense to you. Hopefully, that debt helps us advance in the direction of financial freedom. Bad debt is things like credit cards, HPs, car loans, personal loans. And why I'm calling that bad debt is because that debt is either attached to nothing, or it's attached to an asset or a product that is depreciating, which means it's losing value, rather than appreciating, which means it's going up in value. Therefore, worst case scenario, something happens, you can lose the asset or whatever, you still have the debt, but nothing to show for it. And that's just one of those feelings. It makes you sick in the stomach when that happens to you. No one wants that. So, a car loan, there's nothing wrong with having a car loan, but if you're going to have a car loan, do you actually need a loan, or could you have a cheaper car? It's just worth thinking about. Or can you have a smaller loan rather than going for the flashiest, biggest? I mean, that straight away, that's an issue of our pride and different things, isn't it? But that is an issue, and the questions that we need to ask. Bad debt can leave you in a terrible cycle where we just feel completely stuck. Credit cards is one of those, isn't it? If you've got your credit card going from month to month to month, and you get this big interest bill every month, and it either goes up or you're struggling to pay the interest, you've got nothing to show for it. It's a terrible feeling. I personally have nothing against using credit cards for the way you operate your finances, but if you've got a credit card, you must pay it off every month in its entirety, because otherwise it turns into bad debt, and it can become an endless cycle, and that's really not a nice place to find yourself. To get our finances moving forward, one of the first things we need to do is get rid of bad debt, and we need to do that as soon as possible. And if you find yourself in that situation, I advise you to get some help, because there are strategies, there are ways that can get you out of that situation much quicker if you have some advice from people who know and who understand. And here's the key to it all. Don't say I'll do it next week. Don't say I'll do it next month or next year. You need to take action now. You need to do it now. Start the process, because the sooner you start, the sooner you can get out of that situation. So we have strategic debt and we have bad debt. If you've got bad debt, you need to get out of that as quickly as you possibly can. Make sure that you know the difference. Sometimes we fool ourselves trying to tell ourselves that actually our bad debt is strategic debt. If it's not on an appreciating asset, it's not strategic. debt. Be honest with yourself in that. You know, we can fool ourselves. We don't help ourselves by fooling ourselves. Be honest and make clearing your bad debt a priority. Do everything you can to get rid of that as quickly as you can and get the advice you need to help you. Ponder this. Do I need to take action with debt now? Answer it and do whatever you've got to do. See you next time.